watching the award-winning GHS-TV, Germantown Community Television, your hometown news and information station. Welcome to another edition of Germantown Community Television's award-winning Access Together series. Informative, educational, and entertaining, our diverse programming lineup offers something unique for every viewer. Whether you want to keep up with the latest community news or learn how changes in the Mid-South and beyond affect us right here at home, these local programs keep the focus on you, the citizens of Germantown. Each show is hosted by a member of the community and produced using the students and facilities of Germantown High School's nationally renowned television station, GHS-TV. These programs are made possible through the combined efforts of the City of Germantown, Shelby County Schools, GHS-TV, and the Germantown Community Television Foundation. If you have any questions, comments, or program ideas, write us at the address on your screen or call 754-4788. You can also email us at ghstv17@aol.com. For more information about GHS-TV and our programming, visit us on the web at www.ghstv.org. Thanks for watching, and we hope you enjoy the following presentation.
Hello and welcome to a new edition of Shelby County Schools Report, the monthly show that spotlights SCS students, staff, and programs. We're coming to you from the studios of Germantown Community Television on the Germantown High School campus. I'm Ted Beasley. Our teacher feature this month introduces you to an educator with a tune all his own, Highland Oaks Elementary music teacher Christopher Paxton. In our SCS Focus, you'll hear from the two men leading Shelby County's two school systems into this summer's merger. Co-host Frank Bluestein is joined by the Interim Superintendent for Shelby County Schools, Dorsey Hobson, and Deputy Superintendent David Stevens. Today's School of the Month report takes us to the annual carnival at Elmore Park Middle School. And later, co-host Allison Rogers-Long offers more insight on today's reports. There's a beautiful sound coming from Christopher Paxton's music room at Highland Oaks Elementary. Student reporter Emily Wolf gets to know the man behind the melody in this month's teacher feature.
Highland Oaks Elementary School music teacher Christopher Paxton has made a lasting impact on his students and co-workers with his ever-encouraging attitude.
I think they all walk out believing that they can do anything.
Mr. Paxton is an excellent teacher. He motivates us to come out of our comfort zone.
His positive energy helps create a nurturing learning environment for the children.
He's energetic, never a dull moment.
I want them to say, oh, I love this. I want to do this for myself. So I want to inspire them to want to do it.
All of them are like little ducklings behind him. It doesn't matter if it's a kindergarten child or a 5th grade student, but he gives his all and he makes learning fun.
Many admire his ability to differentiate his lessons and incorporate a large variety of activities into his classroom.
He knows what he's doing, and he tailors it per grade level. Like some songs the 1st graders may not be able to catch on to that a 5th grader could.
In Mr. Paxton's classroom, we sing, play different instruments.
Mr. Paxton carries his uplifting spirit out of the classroom and to his fellow educators.
He's sensitive to when you've had a bad day and just stands ready to encourage you.
Every day is a new day, and to always smile, that it's never that bad. Whatever it is, that we're just grateful for another day. And that's Mr. Paxton. You catch him singing, walking down the hallway at any time.
Mr. Paxton passes this quote on to the children as they leave the classroom. Tomorrow's success begins today.
As they leave, they're conscious of the fact whatever they just did is a stepping stone towards tomorrow.
Tomorrow's success begins today. I always say that, tomorrow's success. So what you do today is going to determine your success for the future.
It's in your daily actions, and that's what he's always teaching and trying to encourage the kids to motivate them to be excellent in everything that you do.
For Shelby County Schools Report, I'm Emily Wolf.
You can't help but smile watching Christopher Paxton train his young musicians. He joins us now. Thank you for joining us.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Now, the way that you run your class kind of reminds me of a television program for children. Can you tell us about your style of leading?
Well, yes, I have 3 daughters at the house, and growing up, watching them grow up, they love their shows, Barney and all those different shows. So, and I love their format. So I've kind of adapted their style. I'm like, hey, if they love it, I want to try it on my students at school, going from one subject to the next, really not giving any downtime. So really actually watching the shows at home and bringing that same concept to my classroom. Because if they enjoy it, I love it. So if you like it, I love it. So actually watching the Barney shows, really.
Now, your coworkers have said that the students flock to you like ducklings. Can you tell me how you feel about that role that you play in their lives?
Yeah, well, I understand that I represent someone bigger than who I am. Actually, my principal and my teammates, my co-workers, and when I smile, it represents the whole school. And I know that I'm a statue in their brain forever. They can remember Mr. Paxton's smile, and I know I will always, hey, I remember when I was little, my music teacher always did that. And I want them to enjoy coming to school, and hopefully I can be that ray of sunshine, you know?
Well, you kind of just hit on what I was going to ask you next. You're always positive with your students, and why do you feel that is important?
Well, music can be sometimes a challenging subject. You know, they're like, oh, I can't do that. And I always encourage them. I always have a little saying that that you can do all things. I believe that, hey, if I can do it, you can do all things, you know. So if you just try. And I try to make it as simple as possible, so once they see that, hey, I can do that. And I, of course, encourage them to say, yeah, I can do that. I want them to believe within themselves, because so many, I hate the word can't in my classroom. I cannot stand to hear them say, I can't do it. And when they do attempt, I'm like, hey, good job, man. Good job, young lady. So I want to be positive so they can say, hey, I can't, this is something that I can do. Mm-hmm.
Now, how did you develop your love of music and the arts?
Growing up in church, as a young man, of course, being a drummer, going up from 4th grade and playing in church, and Dad saying, get over there and try. And they tolerating me in the room, banging on the drums. And I also had a 5th grade music teacher that I remember, Miss Brown. I'll never forget her. She had all the instruments. And I think when I saw her so captivated, I think I've been stuck ever since. And so, of course, I went to college to do it because of that one individual teacher. And so here I am doing I wish I could see her again, because she was a great inspiration for me. And now I have a love for it, and my children have love, and hopefully all the thousands of students that I teach will have a love for it.
Well, you just sound like a great teacher, and I know the students are definitely encouraged and motivated by your love of music and your love for them.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
I hope so.
Now let's send things over to Frank Bluestein for this month's SES Focus. Frank?
Thanks, Allison. As the school year winds to a close this month, it marks the beginning of a new chapter for public education in our area, the merging of Memphis City Schools and Shelby County Schools. There are still many decisions to be made before classes start in August. My guests today have taken new leadership positions during an important time in this unification process. I'm joined by Interim Superintendent Dorsey Hobson and Deputy Superintendent David Stevens. Superintendent Hobson and Deputy Superintendent Stevens, welcome to the show.
Glad to be here. Thank you.
Glad to have you. Let me start with the question I think that it's on everybody's minds. How is the merger coming along, and will we make it on time? Superintendent?
The merger is moving forward at a steady pace. I want to thank John Atkin for all the hard work that he did to bring us to the point where we are now. He spent tireless hours getting us to where we are. It's just a fast and furious pace every day. A lot of critical decisions being made, but every decision that we're making is with an eye towards making sure that schools will open on time in August of 2013, and we want all students to have as good of an experience or better next year as they're having this year.
And let me ask you about your new roles, because both of you, talking about decisions that have been made, we've had a lot of decisions being made in a very short period of time. You're both relatively new to the roles that have been given to you. How is that working? And could you explain, I guess, for the viewers, your exact role in the process?
Well, when Superintendent Hobson was named interim superintendent over Shelby County, he came to me and had a discussion about being deputy superintendent in charge of day-to-day operations of Shelby County Schools now that Mr. A is no longer with the district. And it's a great opportunity. I'm working as the chief of staff role also, and that day-to-day operation as a deputy superintendent. But it's been a big change. The thing about it is and I really appreciate Dorsey bringing me into that position. We try to work together, work as a team. But things have gone well. I mean, it's been, where the cabinet's being named, things are starting to move. It's kind of like we've been talking about all of the things that are going to happen. Well, now they're finally happening. So I think it's encouraging that we're starting to see some light at the end of the tunnel.
Superintendent Hobson, you mentioned, or Mr. Stevens mentioned the cabinet. Tell me a little bit about the cabinet and what their roles are and who those people are.
Well, we essentially, before John left, we started the process to name the senior leadership for the new district. There are about 10 people. There's a good mix of people from Legacy Shelby County and Legacy Memphis City. And their most immediate role is to make sure that we get through this budget process. And I think it's important to talk about that. I think that's probably the biggest challenge that we're facing right now. Now, they are integral to that because, as you may have heard, the TPC recommended that the central office staff cut about 26% of its budget. So the cabinet members are essentially responsible for design in their department, which includes that 26% cut. So they're working to make sure their departments are extremely efficient, and we'll take those cuts and insert them into the budget. And I just want to think, I think David is an extremely modest guy. This guy's a great guy. I mean, when the board asked me, I think about 2.5 weeks or so ago, to serve as an interim superintendent, I immediately picked up the phone and called David and said, David, I need you. I think that he's a great guy, great person, great educator. And I think that with all the change going on right now, consistency is important. I know that David knows the Shelby County Schools. I know people trust David. I trust David. So I just thought it was important for us to essentially be Batman and Robin, for lack of a better word.
Well, you mentioned the budget, and you said that, of course, is the most critical thing. How is that coming along? I know there's two sort of extremes of numbers where of course the school wants to have more, school board wanted to have more money, and the county commission is saying less. How is that coming along? Are we going to have compromise there? What do you think will happen on that score?
Well, I think where we are right now, we heard from our board. Our board wanted to make a statement and ask the county commission for a significant increase. I mean, I think across the country, people will argue that education is underfunded, and that's just a reality. Having taken that request back to the commission and being told that we should probably expect to receive somewhere around the neighborhood of $5 to $10 million increase instead of $145 million increase, we are preparing our budget consistent with the numbers that we expect to get from the county. It's tough. I think that one thing that I'm going to always do is be honest and transparent with the community. There are going to be some painful cuts. I mean, we have to make tough decisions regarding staffing, regarding just a whole number of things, but we're working hard. We're going to get it done.
Mr. Stevens, let me ask you this. School is right around the corner. I mean, new school is right around the corner for almost 200,000 students in the school system, in the new school system. What should parents know, or what should they come to expect that will happen in August? Are there going to be massive changes? How is that going to affect students and the parents that are sending their children to our schools?
The thing that we've talked about with Dorsey and the cabinet and all of the staff of the two districts, I have 2 kids in Shelby County Schools, and Superintendent Hobson has 2 kids in Memphis City Schools. And at the end of the day, we want our kids to have the exact same experience, or as Dorsey said, a better experience next school year. We are not going to totally disrupt schools. That is not what we're going to do. You know, there's so many rumors flying around that you're going to bus kids all over, you're going to change attendance zones. Those things aren't going to happen. That we're going to take the principals from the Germantown area and ship them over to the north part of the county. That's not going to happen. You know, the situation with the budget in Shelby County, we had been getting money from the county commission the same amount for the past 7 years. We have not received an increase. Well, we know that cost and expenses go up. One of the things that John Atkin had done is that he had said, we want to keep our teachers. So we had been using our savings, our fund balance. We have, you know, we all budget every year and we really try to be good stewards of the dollar. And so at the end of the year, there were money that was left over, and this money was in our savings account, and we would use that money to maintain our teachers. What had happened over the past 3 years, we have been spending that down. So whether this merger was going to happen or not, we were going to have to tighten our belt because we had depleted that savings. So those are challenges, and I think that a lot of times people want to blame every single thing on the merger. But there are situations that we were facing in the county. Last year, I know in some of our high schools, we had to adjust some of that staffing, and this year we're going to have to adjust some more of that staffing. And we've tried to be strategic as we've done it and not just impact large groups of students and large number of schools, but there are some schools that are going to have some changes, and some of those changes are going to be definitely different. But as far as the kids' experience, my kids, Dorsey kids, our goal is that it's going to be the same, better. They're going to have the same teachers, the same curriculum, the same programs, the same schedules. You know, those things are going to be, from the parent and the kid's perspective, they're not going to see a big change.
Well, of course, we heard a lot when they talked about unifying the schools. And what are the benefits? And I think maybe people have not talked about the benefits. Could you, Superintendent Hobson, address what you think some of the benefits are going to be for this new unified school system?
Well, I think one of the stated objectives, or one of the things that I think that everyone can rally around, is that if we get nothing else out of this merger, then to make sure that we are affording all students the opportunity to have a high quality education. I think that's a very important benefit. I think that the merger has also given us an opportunity to take a critical look at all of our operations, the business operations, the efficiencies that we may not otherwise have had an opportunity to take a look at. And if I could just back up and piggyback on what David said, I mean, I think there's a lot of angst out there, a lot of concern out there, a lot of fear that things are going to be drastic changes. That's just not the case. Our goal, as we sit and we meet 4 or 5 times a week, sometimes on the weekends, all times of night, what we're trying to make sure that we let parents particularly know is that we're about consistency. There's not going to be, as David said, there's not going to be any busing. There's not going to be any moving kids around wholesale, moving personnel around wholesale. If you're in a school now and what that school is doing is working at high student achievement like a lot of the county schools are, it's not going to change. We have no interest in changing that. I think that another benefit is we had an opportunity to take a look at some of the best practices from the Memphis City schools and for the Shelby County schools. We've had an opportunity to look at some of the stuff that maybe didn't work in one or either schools, and we get to throw that out and start over again. So I think when you have a community working together, pulling the best from each community and putting it together, our hope and expectation is that it's going to make it better for all kids.
Well, I think it's exciting. I think we've got an exciting future, and I just wish both of you the best of luck on leading us and the students and the parents and the community into the future. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now let's head back to Ted Beasley, who has our School of the Month report. Ted?
Thanks, Frank. Elmore Park Middle prides itself on being a community school, cultivating a student body that cares about much more than just making the grade inside the classroom. What you see here are students having a little fun while making a big difference in the community. Reaching out to their neighbors has become a way of life for students and staff here at Elmore Park Middle School.
Just getting the feeling of having to help someone is like the greatest feeling in the world, because you know you did something right.
This Bartlett school has done a lot right since it opened 20 years ago. A major focus recently has been on community involvement. leading to events like the second annual Make-A-Wish for Earth Day Quarter Carnival.
We came up with the idea last year within the Beta Club, and Bolt's Club was also thinking about doing a carnival as well.
One is throw the sponge at SpongeBob, and it's a giant SpongeBob cutout, and it has a face, and you put your face in the hole, and then you get sponges thrown at your face for money.
It brings all of their parents in. They're really involved and really looking forward to it. And I think it just kind of brings everything together for one grand finale community event that we have.
All proceeds from this event go to the Make-A-Wish Foundation, a charity that won overwhelming approval from the student body.
We also have some students here that got affected by the Make-A-Wish Foundation, and it was really touching to see how we help them, especially when they're in our school community.
Events like this one are put on by service-oriented school clubs.
Offers an opportunity for them to be able to go out in the community, get to know their community, figure out what the community needs, and then try to meet those needs as well.
We mainly just we try to help the school and our community build as a whole so we can better ourselves together.
Along with an active PTSA, the school is also aided by committees.
This year we organized committees for parental involvement and community involvement so that we could have a dedicated focus to increasing that realm of our school environment.
We kind of pitch in whenever there's a need for a program or something going on at the school that needs outside help, resources and things like that.
Staff here say events like the Quarter Carnival give students ownership of their community involvement.
Instead of it being, again, teacher-led, it's more student-led. And we kind of give them the feel that we're all in this together.
It's helping them to build their confidence, it's helping them with their communication skills, and it's helping them with their character.
And the goal is that students take the lessons they learn from these events and develop a lifelong passion for giving back.
Our mission of Elmore Park is to grow students towards effective leadership, lifelong learning, and a productive life.
There is so much that goes on outside of their lives, outside of school, outside of their homes, and that everything that they do actually impacts other people.
It's definitely changed me. I've grown more of a heart and compassion for people that I really didn't have. It opened up my eyes a lot to this world, to see how the real life is and what you need to do to help and better yourself and others.
For Shelby County Schools Report, I'm Ted Beasley.
Elmore Park Middle prides itself in being a community school. We're pleased to be joined by its principal, Marjorie Lowe. Tell us how successful your carnival was this year.
Our carnival this year was a marked success compared to last year. This is just our second year, so compared to last year, it was a tremendous success. We had the favor of good weather. Even though a little chilly, it was bright. It was sometimes overcast, but it was wonderful. Our funds raised were $1,600. We had an opportunity to have some of the Make-A-Wish Foundation individuals to come through. And one of our own students, I found out, had been herself a recipient of the Make-A-Wish Foundation. She had wanted to swim with the dolphins, so she got a chance to do that, and her parents, her family, and she were invited to, were given a trip to Hawaii. So that experience with the community coming out and others from beyond the community coming out was a marked success.
Now, why did you decide to make community involvement such a large priority at your school?
It's an area that through some of our surveys, we found that we were not quite as successful as we had thought ourselves to be. So being armed with that information, we were strategic and still are going to continue to be strategic in getting our communities to be involved and stay involved. In this day and time when there are changes afoot, so to speak, and everybody thinks, oh, with the unified merger, there's going to be a change, we wanted our community to know that we're still going to be the same, and we're going to still be that same face that they have seen for these last 20 years, and we're going to promote the same kinds of support and involve them in the same kinds of manners that we've been apt to do in the past.
Now, one of the things that you have upcoming is a career fair in May. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, our career fair is pretty much a staple activity of the guidance office. This year, we're wanting to cast a greater net. Our children know about becoming a nurse. They know about becoming a utility worker, a fire person. But what we're asking through our website are individuals who have these unusual types of jobs to partner with us and come out to present their vocation to our children. Do they know what an actuarian is? Do they know about an ombudsman? Do they know how to become even a buyer? You know, our young ladies are fashion conscious. So how do you go about becoming a buyer for the industry that they so love? And so in this regard, we've placed on our website and we've extended to our parent communities, if they know of these unusual or these not publicized kinds of jobs, that they can make make a connection for us in those wider communities, then that's going to broaden our career fair this year. So we're hopeful that when it happens, we'll have more than our 35 participants. We'll have a room filled with job opportunities and interesting occupations, because you know better than I how this generation loves to do unusual things.
Can you tell us how parents or other community members can get involved at your school?
It's simple. Know our website, go to our school website, and just become a partner with us. We oftentimes will communicate things to our community areas, businesses, so far as sending our information to them. And we ask that when they see that there are services or there are skills and abilities that they would like to see fostered in the school curriculum, whether it's in an extracurricular activity or event, or whether it's with partnering and coming and being a spokesperson in the classroom, that they will agree to participate in those kinds of ventures with us.
Well, thank you so much for coming and speaking with us today. Your leadership, I know, is an asset not only for Elmore Park, but for also Shelby County Schools.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Right now, we're going back to Ted Beasley in the Shelby County School studio. Ted?
Thanks, Allison. Well, that's going to wrap up the show for this season, and it'll wrap up our time as Shelby County Schools Report. As I'm sure all my predecessors will agree, it's been an honor to bring you the story of these dedicated educators over the years. Thank you to all the teachers, administrators, and students who've made Shelby County Schools such a special system. It's a system that will soon get a lot larger, and we look forward to sharing even more stories with you in the future. Thanks to the show's videographer Ryan Sweeney for all his great work this season, and to our student reporter Emily Wolf. Have a great summer.